Rec League Podcast. Tell your friend, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell your haters. Available on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and Stitcher. At Rec League Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. At Rec League Pod on Twitter. Episode 133. Available now. Yo, whether you watching this from Facebook, Twitter, click the link in my Instagram or YouTube itself. What up, world? I just watched Abigail. It's a new horror. It's not really that scary. It's a new horror movie starring Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Kevin Durand, Angus Cloud, Catherine Newton, Giancarlo Esposito, Will Catlett, and Matthew Good. Is directed by Radio Silence, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, and Tyler Gillett. They directed the last two most recent Scream movies and Ready or Not. And I think they was involved in VHS movies and other horror related stuff. A group of criminals kidnap a little girl. Ransom is involved, 24 hours, we get the money, da-da-da-da-da. Plans don't actually get seen through according to them. I really enjoy the last two Scream movies to different degrees, and I hear that Ready or Not is great. So I was excited to see what these two dudes was directing next. And this has more ups than downs. This is I can give you like a 2-word review. It's very good and it's very creepy. Then it gets a little goofy. So the performances are good. Like Melissa Barrera is really good. Dan Stevens is really good. They tell you at the very beginning that we're not going to get backstory on any of the characters we're living with for an hour 45. But then, obviously, we get backstory. We learn who these characters are. We learn that the little ballerina girl is a vampire. It's in the trailer. This movie, I read what I read on this movie, and it was that it was a reimagining of Dracula's Daughter. 3 weeks ago, I watched Dracula's Daughter from 1946. They are not similar at all. But to kind of sidestep, but kind of stay on track, what Universal figured out with their Universal classic monsters in a modern age was very dope. Cause The Mummy with Tom Cruise crashed and burned. The Dark Universe crashed and burned. So they've given us The Invisible Man, phenomenal. They've given us Renfield, solid, enjoyable horror comedy. And now they've given us Abigail, enjoyable horror comedy. Dan Stevens has killed it for the second time in less than a month. He's still my Green Arrow pick. James Gunn, holla at me. I Melissa Barrera carries this movie, so it sucks even more that she's not gonna be in Scream going down the road. It sucks to know that this was the last movie that Angus Cloud finished. And I'm digging the horror choices that Catherine Newton is deciding upon. This is just such a strong cast. This is such a bloody movie. So much blood. But again, not particular. I'm 38 years old, so not particularly scary. Creepy, enjoyable, laughed at some stuff. I could also see a lot of people watching this and just thinking this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It's not dumb, it just has dumb moments. And we got opening credits. I know a lot of normies don't pay attention to that type of stuff and don't care about the detail, but it was cool to see opening credits in a movie. So with all that being said, I will say, in my opinion, Abigail was almost dope. Have you seen Abigail, man? What you think? Positive, negative, somewhere in between? Let me know. I just put up a review for the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. There's a Civil War review I put up last week, Monkey Man the week before that. In a few days, I'll get y'all a review for Justice League, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2. Next week, I want to watch and review Challengers. The week after that, we're in summer. We're in May, we're in summer. And I want to watch and review The Fall Guy. Be on the lookout for all of that, man. Rec League Podcast, we talked feel-good movies. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Very fun discussion. So like, subscribe, comment. Find me where you find me, man. Don't know where to find me. Watch these credits. Peace.